Anybody out there has been curious as to how I achieve the lighting that I get in my videos, well, this is how. What you're looking at right now is my Elgato Facecam Mark II running through my laptop, 1080p, 60 frames a second, with little to no lighting on whatsoever. And actually, let me go turn my ceiling fan lights on so you can kind of see what my content looked like when I first started creating content 10 years ago. Bam. It makes a bit of a difference, right? But this is what I was working with a long time ago. And would you believe me if I told you that throughout the years, I prioritized everything except lighting, thinking that an expensive webcam or an expensive mirrorless camera was going to solve all of my problems when it came to video quality. But in 10 years' time, I eventually learned lighting is far more important to your image quality than your actual camera. So what took me 10 years to learn, I'm going to teach you today in just a matter of minutes. Let's go. Over the last 10 years that I've been creating content here on YouTube, I have implemented a variety of lighting solutions to bring out the best in my camera and my video quality. So usually, number one, your first solution is the lights that are in your room, and that's what you're looking at right now. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I would say the worst thing would be is to turn on a webcam and have no lights on whatsoever and try to hope to God that your screen is bright enough to help people somewhat tell what you look like. But ultimately, this is not where you would want to end. So that brings us into solution number two, which would be the most common light people get when they're first implementing a lighting solution into their setup, and that would be a light ring. Directly behind my laptop, slightly above my webcam, I have the ring light, the Elgato ring light, which is $100 on Amazon right now. Okay, I'm going to turn this thing on right now in 3, 2, 1. Bam. Look at that. Monumental difference already with one light. Because I have the ring light directly behind my laptop, which is basically directly in front of me and facing me, it's able to fill me in quite nicely and quite evenly. If I were to have set the ring light off to a side here facing me, then whatever side it's facing is going to be lit up, but then the opposite side is going to have some shadows, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can actually create a fairly cinematic look going that way, but if you're using this one light, you kind of want to show yourself off as wholly as possible, so that's why I recommend putting it directly in front of you. Again, Elgato ring light, $100. This is kind of what you could expect to see. If you're just getting started and you're kind of new to content creation, you're not really sure if you're going to stick around or there's other elements of your setup that you need to upgrade, I highly recommend going with the ring light. There's a reason why this is one of the most common first lighting solutions that is implemented in a setup. It's because it's cheap, it provides sufficient amount of light, and you can get some really good results from it for the price. But let's move on to the other solutions, other setups I've used throughout my time. And in order to do so, I have to move over to my main setup. So let's go. After I got my first ring light, I eventually upgraded from a webcam to a mirrorless camera. Right now, what you're looking at, which you're not going to be able to tell until I turn some of these lights on, you're looking at a Canon M50, which is at the time cost me around $800. All right. Shortly after getting this camera, I realized that my ring light was not cutting it. It wasn't enough to really bring out the best out of this camera. So I went to Best Buy one day and I found myself an Elgato Keylight Air 1. Okay. If you for some reason decide to go with just one, or you can only go with one of these lights, for example, I again would recommend that you put it here to the front. However, in my current setup, I have it set up here to my left. It's a little higher than I am from where I'm sitting, and it's angled down towards me. And in this specific setup right now, with just the one light turned on, you can tell that my left side is very well lit up compared to my right, because I've got no light going on my right. And some people will tell you, again, that this creates that dramatic cinematic feel. I get it. I understand. I'm not 100% a fan. So eventually I went out there into the world and got myself a second Keylight Air. And now, with both lights here, offset to my sides, higher than I am sitting down, aiming down towards me, centered on my face, this is the result that you're going to get. One thing that I really do like about this two light setup is the fact that, of course, I'm very well lit here from the front, but because the lights are kind of crisscrossing each other to my opposite sides, I feel like you can kind of get an idea of a good little outline here. It's not perfect, but it's better than what we got when we were using just the ring light alone. So what did I do next? Well, remember I had that ring light back there on my laptop? What happens if we throw that one into the mix and maybe have it aim at me from the back? Boom. Now you can tell even more of my left outline is showing, and because the light is not really well diffused, I mean, it's diffused enough when it's aiming at you, but it still spreads that light out pretty far and wide. You can see more of my background, which is cool, I guess, but I'll show you a better way to get that taken care of so that your background is showing, but there's even better light on you. Okay, now we're back to pitch black. So after using this 3-light setup for quite some time, I eventually found out about cob lights and softboxes. After some research, I went ahead and landed on a Nuir light with a softbox and a honeycomb grid. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on right now in 3, 2, 1. Bam. This light is absolutely fantastic. It's my favorite purchase I've done for this setup in quite some time, because the fact that it has a honeycomb grid on top of the box itself allows that light to be directly aimed at me while preventing a lot of that light from spreading out to the rest of my room. And the reason that you want that is because that helps separate you from your background. So if you can tell here, the background, it's off. Obviously you can't really tell a whole lot right now with it being darkened, but if I turn it on, it only lights up the background minimally. Like, there's not a whole lot of light that makes its way back there, okay? Obviously, my sides need to be lit up as well, so that's where both of my key light airs come into play. And now you have, or you're looking at the setup that I used most now in 2025. And this is fantastic because I still have a darkened background, which means I've achieved great separation. And that allows for the lights from my light bars to really pop through when it comes to recording any sort of footage from this angle. Now, remember, I still have this ring light to my back left, okay? And if we throw that into the mix, that's what this will look like. Bam, right there. You can tell some of my background just got lit up a little bit more, and I also should have a better outline light here on my back left, which again helps to separate me from my background. This is really, really integral when you're trying to get that background blur going on. It just, any separation that you can achieve is very helpful, and lighting plays a big role in that, as well as your lens and your camera, of course. But I still have one more trick up my sleeve. These little light bars behind me, they're actually going to provide my hair light for me, and I'm going to show you how right now. Ta-da! Look at that. So I didn't realize when I bought them that they had these little 2 lights at the top right over here, but when I flip them down, they turn on, and if I can aim them at the top of my head, you can actually see a very clear outline of my hairline. And with all that said and done, with the 2 key light airs, my softbox here at the top, my ring light here at my rear left, and the 2 lights here from these bars, this is my lighting setup. This is how I get the lighting that some of you have been kind enough to compliment me on. It's been a process. It has taken me a very long time to give lighting the respect that it's due when it comes to getting the most out of my cameras. A lot of times I've seen fellow creators, friends that have gotten into content creation, go out there and spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a mirrorless camera, only for them to complain that their footage does not look as good as someone else who's using the same exact camera. And 9 out of 10 times, the issue has been is that their lighting is not set up correctly to support that camera, to bring out the best that that camera has to offer. Now, I'm not telling you, go out there and buy all these lights to achieve the results that I have here. If you want to achieve the results, yes, you're probably going to have to buy yourself 3, 4 different lights to get that going. But at the end of the day, if you simply stick with like just the 2 light setup here, one on your left, one on your right, that's a really, really good start. And then you can add on to that and build upon that. But ultimately, if anybody out there has been curious as to how I achieve the lighting that I get in my videos, well, this is how. So I'll have prices and all this stuff. I should have added prices into the video as the video went on, but if not, I'll have links to everything in the description below. I hope you found the video helpful and informative. If that's the case, make sure you hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions regarding my lighting or anything else at all. I'd be happy to answer and help, and maybe even make a video for you out of it. Until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to one another. Peace out.